I'm really curious. Why do you think that so many people approach this and why it's something we even have to train on to explain how this sense of beingness comes first? Isn't it so fascinating to you that for so long it's the opposite? This feels very innate after you grasp it, but so many people need to be trained into literally existing and being before they can start to create and do and have.
Yeah, I think because we are so conditioned to be externally focused, right? It's from kindergarten, school is what are you going to achieve? How people going to look at you? Are you going to be accepted? It's we're giving so much power to other people, attention and feedback and opinions. And the other thing, there is kind of like a society agreement of what it means to be successful, right?
Mhm.
So since a baby, or like, okay, what do you want to be? What do you want to make? Oh, what going to pay me the most amount of money? Oh, you know what? So I can be a lawyer, I can be an entrepreneur, I can. It. We're approaching being not from the beingness as now you understand it, but we're approaching being from, oh, I can be a rich person, I can
Mm.
be entrepreneur. And then we are aligning everything that we do. What is it that I need to do to get there? So I think we're just so conditioned.
Yeah. In what we're striving to get and thinking that we have to alter everything instead of just I mean, there is a transformation that has to happen, right? We have to align is a huge component of this. I love talking about this with people so much. It's one of my favorite things
Yeah.
because so much of it is backwards. We're coming in and we're making this checklist and this to-do list and a business plan. And the missing component is, well, what do I even want? And who am I trying to become? And what is the vision? What's the dream for who I am as an individual? Because those business models can come and go and change, economies can change, circumstances are never going to remain the same. So it's like building your whole entire dream on that infrastructure is so shaky. So I would love to hear from you and your own experience as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's built a successful business that's expanding like crazy, what this has looked like through your own lens. Did you initially did you come into this with that understanding, or did you try it the other way and then you had to flip flop and recognize the right way to build
Yeah, yeah.
success?
I was exactly the same way of trying to achieve this big thing, right? So I grew because of the financial difficulties that I experienced as a kid, as a young adult. For me, I had this idea, okay, I don't want to see this suffering. I don't want to experience this suffering anymore. I just need to figure out how to make a lot of money and make my parents, make my family happy, not considering any beingness. I, yeah, the first time that I heard the sentence, before you trying to understand the world out there, try to understand the world inside of us, inside of me, I was 25, 26 years old. And before that, I have no interest in hearing anything about spirituality, none of it. I didn't care. I just knew I just need to get out there and make a lot of money. And then at one point, as I'm going through my journey, I invested in different things, kind of able to scale the company a little bit. And then I feel like everything was coming crashing down, right? And it happened to me a few times before, but then I had like one big kind of crash. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I'm working harder, I'm trying harder, I'm following everything that the books are telling me, like wake up really early, doing the right thing. I had a moment that I'm like, okay, there's something else here in play. There's another force that I'm not aware of. And that got me into the exploration. And then I had, and I don't remember who said that sentence. I don't remember where I heard it. Maybe it was a dream or something. And that's what I heard. Before you try to understand the world out there, try to understand the world in here. And I'm like, what do you mean the world in here? This is the world.
Mm.
What is it? And now that got me into what is the inner being, what it even means, what is the unconscious, what is the conscious, what is patterns. Like, oh, I see now that I'm repeating my parents' patterns basically because they did good and lost everything and did some good and then lost and basically got stuck there until later age. So I recognize, okay, so this is where I'm getting stuck. It just plays and I'm not even aware. And I'm just keep bending my head in the wall. And then after some time, it was a long process. I mean, it's still a process, right?
Hmm.
Um, I start realizing and experiencing my inner being and how I'm reacting to different things. I mean, I've been through some psychoanalysis processes, dream analysis, vipassana, different ceremonies, and on and on. So I became a lot more aware. So at one point, I start being aware to my own thoughts. Like, okay, I don't need to be lost in my thought. I can be aware of my thought. And then when I'm aware of my thought, I can see the patterns. And then instead of trying to work harder, it's like, okay, how can I release some of the patterns? How can I release some of the unprocessed emotion? And the first time probably was a year in, I felt like there's a good release of some of the patterns. And now my external reality is changing. Basically, I mean, income wise, my team, other things, like things are just getting so much better. And I'm like, but I'm not working harder now. I'm not trying harder. I'm just being very aware. And when that happened, I start experiencing it again and again and again. And I'm like, okay, the real work is the inner work because everything outside is really a reflection, right? And the thing that changed for me is going from a place that things are happening to me and why it's happening to me and why I'm suffering all that. Now I'm like, oh, wait a second, it's happening for me because it shows me that I'm holding a certain pattern. It's reflecting back to me, not what I'm imagining and not what I'm hoping for. It's actually reflecting what I'm really holding within me.
Mm. Yeah.
That was a big shift in my life.
That's the ultimate shift, right? I feel like I'm not that old. I'm not even 40 yet. And to have grasped this at the point that I have, I can see how the next 40 years are going to look so different from the first 38, 39 years, right? Because it
Yeah,
is such a pivotal thing. And I know that I've had those moments of being, maybe a little bit higher on the mountain where you're like, "Oh my gosh, look what I've done. I've totally changed. I've become this new person." And then I've also completely ended up, it seems, where I started, and I can remember where I'm standing in certain times of life where I'm like, I've just recreated the very upbringing that I was raised in, and there was nothing wrong with it. I just had my sights set on something different and I wanted more expansion. And so I think if you don't really get to the root of this, that you will keep recreating old experiences because
yeah,
we just we're imaginative, but we're also very limited sometimes in the length of imagination we're willing to have, right? Because we're like,
yeah.
I know this. This is familiar. I can repeat this. This is comfortable. I understand this. I know how to exist in this. This other thing out here, like this is new and different and scary. And I'm not really sure if that's even sustainable or if it can last. So I love this. I love rooting this conversation here. And I want to come back to this as we continue to share what you've learned as an entrepreneur. So give us a little background into this business you're in now. I'm assuming this is the one that's really flourished and grown in a way that none of the other endeavors really had. So tell us a little bit about what you do and some of that background.
Yeah, so the business is we do water, mold, and fire damage restoration, right? So that's kind of where I started as a carpet cleaner for about a year, clean carpet, you know, going from one house to another house, charging anywhere between $100 to $300. And then through the carpet cleaning, I discovered the restoration space, got into that, and pretty fast, about a year in, I learned how to generate leads from online lead generation. And I figure out that, wow, okay, I can really scale the business. Grew the business from about 250 a year to over 3 million pretty fast, brand new in this country, barely speak the language. And then fast forward 2 years, Katrina happened at the end of 2005. I went out there, devastation, really seeing how what people is being through. It's crazy, but the great thing is we're able to be there and help people and really work with people. And I got to meet a lot of restoration owners, right? And what I discover is that I'm brand new into the business, barely speak the language, don't have really any past experiences, but most of the business owners are doing anywhere between $300,000 to $700,000 in sales. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong here? Because I'm brand new, I'm already above 3 million. Great guys, they know so much more than me about how to do the actual work. And
Hmm.
what I learned is that most of the guys, amazing people, are just really passionate about the trade itself. They want to talk to me for hours about blowers and dehumidifiers and how I'm cutting the drywalls and the tools. And my in my mind is customer experience, sales, vision. Wait a second, why you're stuck on the blower all the time? And then because I figure out how to generate leads, I said, you know what? When we're done here with Katrina, when you're going to go back to your area, maybe we can work a partnership that I'm going to help you with sales and marketing and lead generation. And you're going to share with me information about how to do the work better and work with insurance companies and the trade part. Did one a license agreement. I did one, it worked very well. Second, third. At one point, I got to 10 license agreement. And then the lawyer that wrote the license agreement for me is like, Idan, you're becoming a franchise. You have 10 offices now that operate the same as you and using the same name and on and on. I'm like, okay, what is a franchise? I spent about a year understanding how franchise work, franchise agreement, FDD, got into all this headache, but it's a great thing. And then, yeah, I decided to franchise the company. Fast forward to today, we have about 120 offices and growing. We're expanding into Canada as well. And yeah, so
Wow.
that's what we do today.
That's amazing. And it's so evident that there is something that was different about you. And it wasn't just that you saw the bigger picture in business. I think it was just a sense of what we started the conversation with, right? Like you had a bigger vision for who you were. You didn't allow the limitations that others might claim, being an immigrant coming into a country, not knowing the language, all of these things to stop you and limit you because you saw for yourself what you could become. And I think that's really fascinating because I don't know if you had other examples that you were looking to see what was possible, or if this came really from an internal sense of what's possible, let's create something extraordinary. But to me, if you're surrounded by a lot of people who are playing much smaller than you, that shows that the vision really came from somewhere inside and expanded out to become something really powerful. It's really cool to hear.
Yeah. It honestly, it wasn't even the vision that I want to create something that big. It was really a point of, wait a second, I can add value to you.
Mm,
And if we work together, we can add value to each other. This
yeah.
is something interesting,
Hmm.
right? So once kind of you go through your own process and you understand that you are so much more than your thoughts and your patterns and all that, and you look at people in a different way, it's like, okay, there's more sense of collaboration. There's more sense of like, okay, can we work together? Can we make 1 + 1 = 5? Because that's fun. This is something that gets me excited. And this is something that I want to act on. And when I see it again and again and again and again, I'm saying, wait a second, I can actually help people be more successful in business. Wow. Okay. I'll be very happy to do it all day long and with as many people as possible. Right. So that's really what kind of drove this entire process. Even when I got into the kind of from the carpet cleaning to the water damage, I didn't think, of course, I saw the opportunity and how much money we can make in the water damage, great industry. But what really got me excited is I'm saying, wait, these people, homeowners, are going through a real emotional disaster when their house is flooded. I see the companies that are helping them today, they're not really paying attention to the homeowner. He's standing there. You have no idea how he's going to pay for it, how he's going to deal with it. It's a whole mess. And the company is making even a bigger mess. And the homeowner is getting even more stress and more worry in his life. Can I come into this thing, but really paying attention to the homeowner?
Hmm.
Can I help him see the positive in this negative thing that he's going through? Right. So I think it's really it's not so much that I had always this big vision. Yes, I do have a vision of kind of what's going to be the next step, but it's really approaching it from a place: can I help? Can I add value? Can I bring some uniqueness into the way we do things?
Hmm. Yeah, that expansive way of thinking, I think, can differentiate instantly a business that's going to succeed and a business that's going to struggle and not even necessarily fail, right? But I think looking at the bigger picture and tapping into individuals and people and really making that connection the way that you did and understanding how can I bring service? How can I put myself in their shoes is going to go so much further. And you can look at some of those other business owners you ended up helping and partnering with who were very narrowed in on their process, which is great. It's great to be passionate about the service you're providing. And I think that extra layer that is going to lead to monumental success is, well, how do I couple my talent and my passion for this, for cleanup or carpet cleaning or whatever it may be, with this person who that's not their passion. They don't care what motor I'm using or what machine I'm using. They just want their problem solved. And I think you just solved the very first problem or the very first obstacle in really building something that stands the test of time. So I totally can see how it expanded over time and how it started with that element of service and connection and providing value on a human level. So I'm sure that as you've mentored a lot of these people that you've partnered with, as it is expanded into a franchise, you've even probably coached and mentored on these patterns. So do you want to give us a little bit of insight, if that's not your natural instinct, how we can step into that to have a more sustainable, connected, thriving business?
First of all, that's my big thing with everybody is instead of trying to sell and convince everybody that you are right and it needs to be done your way, just ask questions and find ways to add value.
Mm,
Right? That's I mean, it sounds to me a very natural thing to do. Right? I mean, with the way I train our inspector in the beginning, I said just shut up and listen. Stop trying to sell because it's about this relationship. People want to be heard, right? So when I work with other business owner, like you see somebody join your team, try to figure out what is it that he wants to reach or she. Can you help them reach that goal? Because once you create that environment, that this for me, this where everything starts is like your team is not. Yes, they're working for you, and this is a business structure, but really it's people coming together, and everybody have their own dreams. If you really listen to everybody and try to align everybody, that's now you have a striving business because everybody gets to the business in the morning and they want to be part of something and they feel important. So that's for me, this is where it starts. And the second part that I'm really, as you said, a lot of people are just getting stuck in this very narrow perspective with zero awareness. I have so many conversations with business owners. I mean, I'll give you an example of something that's a month ago. So I speak with a business owner. It's like, Idan, it's very hard to build a team where I am. Everybody is negative. There's a lot of issues in my town. And now I have people that I work with all over the country, right? And almost everybody have the same story. My area is a hard area. My area is a difficult area. That's not really the story. So he's telling me, yeah, I'm hiring people. And then after 3-4 months, I'm losing. And then I need to rehire again. It's very hard to build a team. Maybe I just need to stay small. It's me and two other people and I'm done. I don't want to grow the business. And I'm like, I know I'm a big, the level of awareness. You know that he's just lost in his own story. I'm
mm,
like, okay, do me a favor. Walk me through what you do from the moment that you wake up and when you get to the office. Just walk me through everything. It's like, no, Idan, you're wasting my time. It's not that. It's the people is my area. So it's like, just do me a favor. Just walk me through it. So yeah, I get up in the morning. I read the newspaper, drink my coffee. I get to the office. Say, okay, so what you do when you get to the office? I said, yeah, the first thing I want to help everybody. So I point out everything that they do wrong. So like, okay, now I'm going to be quiet now and you listen to what you just said. It's like, oh, I think I'm starting to get it. Right? What it does is bring negativity immediately as you get to the office. In his own mind, the way to help people improve is keep pointing everything they do that it's wrong. Right? So can you imagine every day I come to my office, the boss come in and he tells me immediately, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Of course, I don't want to work with this business. 10 minutes after we kept talking about it, he got that he is the issue. Really, most of the time is the business owner or the bottleneck of the business. He start changing his behavior. I tell him from tomorrow morning, you go to the office and you start pointing out what is good and let them build on top of what's working well and not always the negativity. 2 months after, it's like, Idan, my business has changed. Everything is changed. People want to work. People want to be part of the company. People are excited to come to work, right? So this, where we all get stuck in a very limited perspective, and somebody can come from the outside that have more awareness and understanding can really just help us open it up,
mhm,
right? So for people that opening a new businesses, this is something that you have to be aware of,
mhm,
right? You need to have some level of reflection, of really paying attention of like, okay, that's what I do. This is how I approach things. When somebody is reflecting back to you, right? As we said in the beginning of the conversation, it's all happening for us, not to us.
Yeah.
So if I'm keep losing my team, or business is not working well, or something has happened, instead of going through it's happening to me, it's my area, it's the government, it's the taxes, it's the people, it's right blaming victim, victim, victim. It's all external out there. I'm telling them, stop for a second. Let's play a game that it's all happening for you right now.
Hmm.
Why do you think it's happening for you? How do you think that thing that you're experiencing on a daily basis can actually try to teach you something? There's a part of you that you don't want to see, that you don't want to face. And this part that you don't want to see or face, basically running your life.
Yeah.
So instead of closing off, just open up for a second. Look at it. Be okay, because it's trying to release, it's trying to work through you.
Yeah. I mean, you think about auditing in businesses, and that's usually got a negative connotation, right? Like, we don't want to be audited. It's a tax thing. But that's what comes to mind as you're talking about this, and how we have to be willing to be vulnerable enough to audit ourselves, audit our thoughts, audit our behaviors, and just how we're showing up in the business. And I think you can close off to that and you can ignore it and choose to not be aware, but you're also going to not have a whole lot that you can do to bring that back in and rein that in and create real change. And I think it's so interesting. I even do this as a mom. You come out and you start pointing out all the things that everybody else needs to fix. And 9 times out of 10, like, that was me. I need to fix that. I'm literally the walking example of
Yeah.
the reason all of you behave the way that you behave. And so I think that's a really, really powerful place to start. And my husband and I have been trying to do this with our kids, just on a small level, to create awareness and mindfulness of, like, do you even know why you do that? Do you even know why you like to agitate your brother or your sister? Like, just to start in a very simple way to pay attention to your behaviors can lead to so many changes, because you can't change if you don't know that you need to, right?
Yeah. 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 We have to be, the first thing is bring awareness to it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, with that being said, as people come in and they start to be a little bit more insightful and mindful about what they're doing in their own business, how can we then start to connect even on a deeper level and really move the needle forward when it comes to expansion with our team members, with our business? Maybe we have that skill that we're really passionate about, like the people that you started working with. How do we help people to think a little bit bigger and go outside of the scope of, this is what I know, so this is all I can do?
Strengths and weaknesses. I know that people say that a lot, but there is a real power when you understand strengths and weaknesses. That was a big shift in my business as well. First of all, when I started, I tried to do everything, right? So I need to be good in accounting, I need to be good in operation, I need to be good in that. And really, most of us, we're blind to what is it that we're really good at, right? Because we take it for granted. Oh, of course I can just do this. It's easy. There's nothing about it. No, I need to get better at this and I need to get better at that, right? So I spend some good amount of time trying to get good at things that I'm not really good at, give myself a hard time, and not really doubling down on things that are really good at. The reason that is very important, when you start aligning with your own innate abilities and you build it into skills, you create momentum, because now you are acting from a place of you're creating, you're not chasing, you're not trying to do something else. When you start create momentum on your own, your frequency is different. You're just shining a different light. People want to be part of what you do. You know how it is. Sometimes you sit with somebody, is like, listen, I don't know exactly what it does, but I want to be part of it.
Hmm.
Because you feel the fire, you feel the excitement. You're excited to do what you do because it's just innate, and there is a feeling of alignment when you do what you're supposed to do. And there's and it comes. I know a lot of people asking other people what I should do and what is my purpose. If you just pay attention, you will feel it. You will
Hmm.
know exactly what you're supposed to do because it feels very aligned. So
Yeah.
first of all is that. And the second part, when you recognize it in your own, you're going to start doing the same thing with everybody around you, right? So after I went through my own process, I sat with my team and I was like, okay, I want everybody, let's try to understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. Now, when you work on your strength, you create a momentum. When your team is now working on their strength, now there is a real momentum. Creativity, execution, everything start to be so much better. And now there's opportunities just comes in. It just happens, right?
Mm.
Yes, you can have a bigger vision because everybody is excited and there's higher vibration in the room overall. There is the feeling of, yes, we can do it. I can get up, I can do this thing that I do because it's innate and it's just naturally will happen. So when it
Mhm.
happened with the team, it just the expansion will happen because you just want to do more of what you're good at. It just feels good. Is when
Yeah.
people come to the office, and it's not every day everybody's, of course not everybody's so happy and excited every day. There's different days, and things are happens all the time, but overall there's a feeling of we can do more and we want to do more, right? and
Yeah.
and it's naturally the expansion will happen, right? You have bigger ideas that will come in. You put a plan together, and now instead of like there's fear if I'm not sure how I'm going to get better in operation and accounting, when you're working on your real skills and innate abilities and you're aligned, it's like, let's do more. Where else can we take that? Can we explore other areas, right? So it's just a different way of going about things.
Yeah. Well, I love that we can, there's business books out there that talk about the importance of this, of having people in the right places. And I think just coming back to the way we have been engaging this whole time we've been talking is it's deeper than that. It's a frequency, it's an energy, like you said. And I've experienced this myself where you feel the magnetism of what you're doing and you literally hear people come to you and say, I don't even think I'm passionate about what it is that you do, but I want to work with you. Like, in what capacity can I be in the same room with you and be influenced by you? And it's not necessarily because I'm better or more creative. It's that I'm operating in that genius zone and it really does attract more people. Everybody wants to be a part of something that feels electric and feels powerful and exciting and that there's movement. And when you can be confident in engaging in those strengths and you know the purpose that you are put here to do, then it does give permission to other people to step into theirs. And it
Yeah,
it also creates that teamwork and that synergy to where they don't all need to be existing the way that you do in terms of what you're doing, but just the way that you feel as you're doing it. And man, like if that doesn't explain how the whole human race could really come together if we could acknowledge this, I don't know what does, because that is really, really powerful.
that's absolutely a big one, right? Because I think each one of us have something unique to bring in, right?
Mhm.
And goes with what you just said, is the idea of celebrating the uniqueness. Because today, I mean, the way we're being so conditioned is, wait a second, forget about my uniqueness. I just need to fit in. I need to be accepted by society. So being different, not is that's maybe will kill my opportunity to be accepted. That's where
Mhm.
everything is upside down, right? So when you work with people, it's like, don't try to fit in. What is your
Yeah.
uniqueness? When you close your eyes, when nobody is around, and don't overthink it, just say it. Wow, and when people just say it, you see there's a shine starting to come out. I said,
Mhm.
okay, might want to help you, hopefully, so you can be more of who you are. And we
Yeah.
started with these innate abilities, right? Because I agree with you, as a society, we don't want to see uniqueness. We want to see everybody fits in, because when we see somebody unique and different, and we know that we are kind of hiding our own uniqueness, it makes us feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that's where it's turning things around.
Yeah. We get those little senses pricked inside of us that are like, "Ooh, I don't like this." It's just proof that I could be doing what I wanna do when I see somebody else living in that authenticity and chasing that thing. And now I have no excuses left except for to look in the
Exactly.
mirror. Nobody likes that. We all want somebody else to blame for why we haven't made millions of dollars or had a successful business, right? I'm curious because I would be willing to bet, just hearing you talk and understanding where you're coming from, that this is a huge reason why you have a multi-million-dollar business and now over 120, I think you said, locations that are franchised or licensed to work with you, that you are a pretty good salesperson. But I don't think it's in the way that most people would label sales from a negative or a positive perspective. And it sounds like this is really rooted in that sense of confidence that you have, knowing who you are, and that really strong desire to serve. I am curious though how this translates in sales and what this has looked like, because I know a lot of business owners still want, give me the do, like give me the framework, give me the steps that I can take. So can you do your best to kind of give me a little bit of a multi-layered perspective on how we can really approach business responsibly with the desire to grow, and also bringing those energetics into it so that we can expand and selling doesn't feel like such a chore or a thing we need to take a class on?
Yeah, so I never kind of look at what I do as sales, right? I just speak with, because I saw it working so many times. So it's just natural for me. The level of conviction, because I mean, I experience it myself again and again and again. So I don't feel like I ever try to sell anything, right? And the level of clarity is I'm not even trying to convince you. If you see the value, join. If this is something that you really align with, and sometimes I will tell people if they get excited and say, wow, this is great and this is trend and here and there, and I'm like, hold on, this is not like a one quick thing win. We're going on a journey together. You're going to work with me for the next 7 years, 14 years, even longer. So don't just get in because you're excited right now. Let's just really look at it, because it needs to be a win-win. And it comes from a place of really seeing who is in front of me, right? When you get out of this stream of constant thoughts and the thoughts of the past most of the time, it's also changed the way you interact and you see other people. There's not so much that I need to convince you that there is a certain journey that we are on. Are we going to do it together? It makes sense. It doesn't make sense. Do we see the value of 1 + 1 = 5? Because I want you to win, right? It's not a one-sided thing. So I don't really see it as selling. I think it comes from experience, because when you see something that works again and again and again, like, you don't need to sell me right now that when we stand up, there is a floor. You just know,
Mhm.
right? You will tell me, Dan, listen, just stand up. And look, I'm standing up. You can stand up. You don't need to convince me. You have that level of conviction. So I look at it from that perspective, and for me, it's more clarity than confidence. Confidence is more ego-based thing. I need to be confident. I need to be able to do it better than you. I can do it. But if you have clarity and you really understand who you are and who is the person in front of you, I don't think it's a game of confidence anymore. It's a game of clarity. Like, I can just see
Mm.
it.
Yeah.
So people coming into business is gaining their own experience. Stop taking other people's opinion and look and see things for yourself. This is where now you're tapping into wisdom. It's your own experience. It's your own understanding. Nobody can take it away from you. If I keep operating and talk from a place of this what I read here and this what he said, this what she said, it's not really coming from me. I'm basically just repeating what other people saying through my own experience. It's not even really my own experience, because I'm just repeating what other people saying.
Mhm.
But when you diving in and you pay attention and you go deep into things, you're going to start gaining your own experience. And when you gain your experience, that now translates into wisdom and conviction. At that moment, you don't need to sell anymore. There's nothing
Yeah.
to sell. You just know. And people will feel that. They will hear it in your in your voice. They will sense it in your energy. That's the alignment that I talk about. So I
Mhm.
have that approach in anything that I do. Like, I'm
I
not
love
going
that.
because it's a trend. I'm not going because it sounds exciting right now. There is something that's really is aligned with me, with what I believe in. If I'm getting into new investments, I'll invest in something that I can say, like, I'm getting into it because this is something that makes sense to me and I can see how it's going to work. And through my own experience and through my own investigation, I got to the place that I can see why it's clear to me. And when you speak about it from that place, if it makes sense, join, come be a part of it. If it doesn't make sense, I will love you exactly the same way.
Yeah. I love that. So powerful. And I'm sure this has translated all the way from starting with cleaning carpets all the way up to where you are now with the product you sell is maybe no longer the service in that regard. It's now bringing people into a partnership with you and maybe starting the franchise of their own, but the principle of that remains the same. And I think when you learn that, then you'll never really starve or go hungry or want for anything because you can always show up and serve. You can serve with your anything that you have on you right now, just your very being, the
Yeah.
knowledge you have, the presence you have. And once you understand that it's not about convincing and it's really just about clarity, that's really powerful. So thank you for that. I think that if people take nothing else away from this interview, that right there might be the core thing that they need to understand and grasp. So I feel like we're in 2024 at the time of this recording, going into 2025. The American economy is super, super different than it ever has been. We're embarking on some crazy times. And something I want to pick your brain about a little bit that I think is really important for people to hear as they're coming onto this show, they're thinking about how can I create wealth? How do I build a business and maybe stop following the traditional path that's been planned out for me? Do you find that there is a huge shift in service-based businesses? Obviously, you have one and you've been able to grow it pretty rapidly, and it's a really potent way to expand your financial income. So what is your perspective on that? Do you see it becoming more popular after this shift to the internet and now kind of coming back to tangible, irreplaceable by AI work experience?
Yeah, I think the service, and we see it overall. There's a lot of large investment company coming into the service industry. With all the changes and with all the uncertainty, because there's so many changes in different market, the home service is one area that we know that people needs it. Plumbing, roofing. I mean, we have about 300 million, no, about 100 and something million houses in the US and commercial spaces and on and on. They're all going to need help. It's going to take many, 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 many years before we're changing the way we do in plumbing and electricity and on and on. So services is definitely, I would say it's much safer, but also, look, I mean, if before it costs, I will call five plumbers and everybody will come to my house and probably will not going to charge me anything to come and give me a free estimate. Try to get five plumbers today to come to your house. Very hard. And probably you're going to be charged $250 a minimum charge just for them to come. If an average job in plumbing or any other home services used to be 150 to 200, now it's probably around 350 to 600,
Mm,
right? So for people to come into the home service industry and build a business that do about $1 million or more a year, and take home anywhere between 250 to 400,000, depends on how you operate the business and on and on. And this is general for the home service industry. That's a great business, and people can get to these numbers fairly fast, especially if they're doing it as part of the franchise, because then the systems and everything is already in place. So home service is a great place to be in. Especially the young generation that feel very comfortable with technology is shining in the home service. The older generation is having a hard time to adopt the so many CRM system and AI and different tools and communication tools and on and on. Older generation is having a hard time to adopt the tools. Young generation come into the business and like, of course I'm going to use all the tools. But they were born into technology in a way. So for them, it's like, of course, I'm going to leverage every technology, every tool that I have out there to build my business. So it's more efficient, it's more organized, it just runs better. The level of communication with our clients is much, much better now that we have all these tools, right? We can notify client, follow up, create different invoices. It's like there's so many things that we can use today. So I think it's a real and a great opportunity. The technology just comes into the market, it's not changing the way we are, cutting the drywall or putting back a drywall or rebuilding an area. It's just changed the way we run our businesses. So it's more of the admin side of the business, and this is a huge plus. Huge plus. I mean, especially with AI, and I think over the next 2 3 years, I mean, I'm implementing AI in the business in every area. Customer service, customer support, marketing, content, every place. I look, my view on AI, this is a great tool to really empower my team,
hmm,
right?
yeah.
So overall, kind of close it all back together. Home services is a great space to be in. Even if you want to build something for the next 5 10 years, You don't have to be married for it, because a lot of people like, if I'm going to get to this business, then I'm going to be in it for the rest of my life. I don't think this is the case. I mean, if 50 years ago, or 100 years ago, somebody get into a career and this basically the career for his entire life. I think with the way life is today, you can have every 10 years, you can move to something else,
Hmm.
right? And there's so
Yeah.
many opportunities, and the learning. I mean, right now, there's another project that I work on, and I have a person in Russia, in Mexico, in Italy, in another part of Mexico, and in Israel. And we're communicating every day, and it's free, and we can share videos and documents, and there's so many things that we can do that really cost nothing. 10 years ago, I couldn't do it.
Hmm.
Today, everything that I want to learn, it's on YouTube, and it's free. There's so many podcasts, there's so many people that are offering their advice as we're doing right now for free,
Yeah.
right? So I think today is an amazing time for every person that want to start something. It's I think it's actually incredible.
Yeah. There's never been a time like this where you have so much maybe stacked against you, or so it may feel, but also never been so much opportunity and chances to go and literally create whatever you want to create. And that's really the core of what we're trying to do here on the Millionaire University podcast, is just think differently, think more expansively, create something that, can scale too. That was something I thought of as you were talking, is look at how you've scaled from starting with the carpet cleaning business and then expanding to more services. And we've explained this to our kids, or I have a son who wants to start taking out and bringing garbage cans in on trash day for the neighborhood. And so he's first thinking pretty small about, like, I can charge this much. And we said, you can charge this much. And then you can start bringing other kids into your business, and you'll get paid to sit there and, orchestrate and be the admin. And he was like, his mind was just blown in the expansiveness of this. And it can start so simple, and just like, what is
Yeah.
something that you see as a problem that you could solve, and start creating the solution for other people. And then don't worry about trying to have the whole plan necessarily right now, but know that there will always be room for growth and scaling, especially in the service industry. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Trying to figure out everything from day one, it's really where so many people get stuck.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about 2 months ago, I had a meeting with a person that has been working on his business plan for a year and a half,
Mm.
and is not ready to start because he doesn't fully see what will happen in X amount of years.
Mm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, you are crazy. Just get going. We don't know. Nobody knows what's really, like, we don't know what's really going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
None of us knew that COVID is going to start. None of us knew that so many things will play off, right? The only thing that we can really do is just wake up in the morning, do our best, right? Have a vision, have a North Star, have an idea of what is it that is aligned for you. But there is so many things that we don't know. And just people don't want to accept it because there's a need for control, but it's not real. The
Yeah.
idea that we need to control everything and know everything, it just comes from a place of deep fear.
Yeah, I agree. I've been in the process of writing a book, and just on a very small scale to illustrate this point too, there was a thought that I had, and I was writing, and then I kind of got lost in this little side tangent, and I came back and I was like, man, what was I going to say? What was I going to write here? There was something so profound. And I stared at the screen, and then I just had this thought, like, just start typing. And so I started typing, and instantly that thought came back, where I could have just sat there and like stared for hours and it would have never come back. But taking action and continuing to move is literally what brought that thought and that process back. And we do this in every component of building a business sometimes, where we can just stall and plan and get into that perfection. So that's a really important thing for our audience to hear. Like, just take action based on what you do know right now, and allow the rest to continue to work itself into place. And it's usually going to happen in a way you never could have imagined, but 10 times better.
Exactly, exactly. I adopted that idea that every day I need to do at least one thing that move my business forward.
Hmm.
Before I go to sleep, I have to do at least one thing, right? And it's just every day, every day, every day. And then there's the compound effect. As you said, after 30 days, you look back and like, okay, wow, this small thing that I did every day, look where I am today.
Yeah.
Now take it for a full year. That's make a huge difference in your business. But as you're saying,
Yeah.
it's as you go, it's there's a flow that takes place. That's momentum,
Mhm.
right? You open the channel and things starting to fall into place. And if
Yep.
not, you learn from it, you adopt, and you keep going.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, this has been such a fun conversation. I love these interviews so, so much. They just speak to the deepest parts of my soul. Hopefully, everybody listening has gotten as much value out of it as I have gotten talking to you. It's always so fun to chat with somebody who has the same perspectives and even challenging and awakening some things that I may have needed to pay more attention to. So, if people want to hear more from you, learn from you, maybe even franchise with you, where should they go to connect with you?
So if you want to learn more about the franchise, it's 911restorationfranchise.com. And if you just want to follow, sometime I'm sharing information, it's mainly on LinkedIn. And my name is unique enough. So it's Idan Shpizear. However you're going to spell it, most people get this wrong. You're still going to get to my name because it's very unique.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Idan, for coming on and sharing everything you have. It's been so fun.
That was great.